You should be able to see the bunt.
Yes, we do.
All right, so in keeping consistent with what we've always talked about, one of the times to trade the bunt starting at 5:35 Pacific. So this is the 5:35 line. There's two ways you can trade it. One is to trade the stealth trade, which this is. Another one that you can do in the first hour is to trade early stealth. Now, early stealth would have gotten you in here, but the one trade that we show mostly, stealth. And so it got you in here at 45. And what this is going to illustrate is a couple things. You're going to get a couple of opportunities usually to get some pretty nice trades. And you want to use money management. So, you know, a reasonable goal is for a couple contracts during that time is 400 euros. These are euros, so that really is going to equate to about maybe 560, something like that in dollars. So it came up and you were able to take that out, all right? Now, it doesn't mean you're done trading, because one of the things that you can do if you want to take the next stealth trade is once you hit your profit target, you can basically wait for it to come down and turn red, which it did. Okay, so it comes down and turns red. Then what you can do at that point in time is you could go in your strategy manager. And let me just pull it up here. It was right here and it just disappeared. One second. Where did you go? Sometimes, here it comes. Okay. So then what you can do, in order to do that, you're going to have to deactivate your big green, right? So your big green was set at 400. So what I'm saying is once you come up and you hit your goal, and then you got to be patient, you wait until it turns red, which means you're going to try to take the next stealth trade again, be it to the downside if the background turns red, or back to the upside if the background turns green and you're in stealth. You're going to turn this off. You're going to go like this. You can just go 0, 0, okay? And then you'd hit apply. In order for me to show this historically, though, I'm going to have to kind of fool the strategy a little bit, because if I go back to 400 again, it's going to keep it at the line. So what I need to do is I need to move my start time over to here now so I can show the second trade. And that's going to be, let's just start that at 650. All right, so in order to emulate that, remember in real time you would have turned these off. But in order to emulate that now on the historical, we'll come back and change our start time, and we're going to make that 650. So again, keep in mind, you're already in the first trade. You made some good money. You saw it turn red here again. You would have come in and turned off your big green, or you could have doubled it, either one. But I can't really do that because I'm doing this in historical. So we're going to do the next best thing, and we're going to change the trading time to try to get the second trade. So we're going to try to pick the second trade up in here. And here it is. Here's our second trade. Remember, we already captured the first one. We were already up 400 euros, so about 560 US. We patiently waited. Then once we got the red in here, we went ahead and did what we did on the big green, and it went ahead and took the second trade. And that would have also put you up about the same amount. So you'd be up close to about 1,000, or maybe even a little bit more on dollars. And that's just the way you can manage this. As Charles mentioned, the Bund is a pretty nice, smooth trader. It doesn't tend to chop around too much. Sometimes you can get some pretty nice strong moves up and down. What we're waiting on now is for it to come down in here to about the 50 level. If it could come down, that might actually cause the background to turn red a little bit, but that's okay because it's some pretty heavy support down there on longer term lines in the sand. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. But if you had taken one of these trades, this one, or this one, or both, there really isn't any need to take that third trade, because nicely green turn off the machine. But that's how you can manage these auto traders, and what I showed works on the Bund, but it works on any other market as well, if you're trading it and managing it properly. So any questions on that?
It looks good, Rich.
Okay.
It's a good new little friendly, I think, that book.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we can try to find some room for it on the charts in the room. I know we're using the 6-chart setup now. I think we've tried 8 in the past, and it's almost a little bit too crowded. So we'll have to talk about how to maybe work that in. Maybe just kind of bring it in as a guest from time to time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe if we see something starting to set up, we can kind of drag it over for a couple minutes and show it and sneak it in here and there.
All right. Sounds good.
I think Hans is asking, not certain exactly the timing on this question, but something related to why 134.50.
Yeah, Hans is talking about the other trade that I'm talking about. Hans, let me see if I can try to show that. 1 second. Let me see if I can show that.
Oh, I see. I think that's a long question. Would you buy 34.50?
Yeah, that is the question. And as I indicated, yes, Hans, that's a good area. I would go minimal contracts again, simply because you've had a nice move here already, right? And if you've been trading it, you've made some pretty good money. But I certainly wouldn't trade, more than minimal at this point in time, because if the trade doesn't work out, you don't want to, to give up too much, right?
Yeah, you could put a pretty tight stop on it, like what, 30, 34, 45 maybe, just tick or two below there.
Charles, I normally give it at least 10 ticks. You got to give it some room. It has the tendency to kind of come down and do that. So you just got to give it some room usually. I would give it a little bit more than that.
You got another swing down close to 40, so maybe down there.
Yeah. So anyway, you can see if you put your long-range trail dots out here, right? This is where they're at down here. And this is also, you can also see this is the ultimate support resistance. So that tends to also act as some support. We would just come down into this area here. That's where we were before. So that's a good area. That's why I say that, Hans. Okay. All right, Charles. We can go ahead and transition over to you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's go ahead and do that. I see that Luke has a question here on related to the 12R versus a 4. And I think I can answer that straight away. So without further ado, let me flip over.
And Luke, this actually, oh, you flipped. Okay, you'll show it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what I want to show here on EMD is kind of a follow-on to what we discussed on Saturday morning and last week in terms of pre-market analysis and how you can determine which side of the market to trade. Just to orient you here, I have a 12 up here. You really don't need to have a 12. I'm going to show you in a second why. You see this swing high overnight? This actually turned out to be the swing high of the evening from overnight. Midnight Pacific was this line right here. So to orient you between the two charts, this circle roughly corresponds to this circle right here. So you can see here after it peaked around 860, shortly after midnight Pacific, the market just precipitously started to drop and sell off here, starting to put in some swing levels like such just before the market opened. But what I want to show is this. You can use a 12 if you really like it for guidance, for trending and support and resistance levels, but essentially these stops you see on the 12 and the trend direction are emulated in these guidance dots that you see in the room that Gary has, and plus you see here on the chart. So it does save you a little screen space if you don't want to really watch a 12. I put it up here just to show that they do correspond with each other. And of course, you can see that the 12 was pretty much keeping you short all morning. These guidance dots come with the Pro package. That's why I was showing those. They're very helpful and handy to have. But now, if you were doing your pre-market analysis, if you recall when the market, when we were looking at the market just before the open, we were noticing we had some swings up here. We had one just shy of 52. We had another one here at just between kind of 48 and 49. And then we had these little swing support levels here at 46, 47, 48. You remember we had a swing here at 48, right in here. This was actually the first short of the morning right here. I mean, like right after the open. We rarely take these, but it was just a beautiful textbook short here. Carlos asking a question about these other dots here. These are what we're doing here is from the Pro package are these guidance dots, and we're emulating the 12 range chart over here, actually right on the 4. So you really almost don't need a 12. If you got limited screen space, for instance, I was talking to a lot of traders last week that they have like 1 or 2 screens and their chart space is very limited. So the beauty of this obviously is that the guidance dots are right on your trading chart here. So I'm just showing how these correspond with each other. You see that, Carlos? But what I was going to show here is that even if you didn't take this quick little pop, this is like a little 20 tick pop down here, 20, 25, almost 30 ticks on this little quick pop. Even if you didn't catch that, right here between about 635 or so and 650, 655, we got into this little consolidation patch between 48, 49 resistance, remember? And then we had another swing down here kind of at 46 and then 45, remember? Remember we were watching these areas for a break? And then, of course, all the equities, with the exception of NASDAQ. NASDAQ was doing its own thing because of Apple today. But, of course, we see this beautiful rollover short. Pop down here. We had a yellow bar probe. Might not have made much on this one. This was the third short of the day. See how you could have got in, maybe scratched it, rolls over, and then we have another resumption of selling right here. And this was actually this final run around 7:15 Pacific when it broke down here. This gave you basically from about 41-ish all the way down pretty close to the swing low at this little double bottom at 36 down here. This was about a 40 or 50 tick run. So what I'm saying is that if you miss this one, if you miss this one, even if you miss that one, you still had a beautiful trade here between about 7:15-ish and about almost 8 o'clock, 7:45, about a half an hour drop, where it was just continuing to put in, grinding down lower lows until we doubled out here. Now, I know that Rich took a long on NASDAQ on this bounce, and you can see we got a little one here on EMD. See the little pop? Given the fact that, of course, NASI was much more pronounced. I forget the breakout level. It was like 48 or something, I think he called. And it ran all the way up to 51, 52. Now, EMD did not participate as much. And what's really driving NASI higher is the fact that Apple is up so strong today. It's up almost 4 points. Whereas EMD has been the weakest of the bunch, just breaking down to fresh lows here. So I just wanted to show the setups. Very nice trending day. Overall from the market open here at 6:30, where we were up pushing this 849 all the way down here to 836. This total drop was around 130 ticks, and it gave you several nice short entries here. 1, 2, 3, 4 trades. before you got into this pocket of consolidation here around 8 o'clock Pacific. So any questions? I just want to show this quick recap. I did record this, and I recorded Rich's showing of the FGBL, the bunt, which had some nice trade setups today as well. I actually took that probie after he showed that peak out and then it pulled back. I did actually take the probe. I didn't call it in the room because I think we want to watch that for maybe another few days or a week, and then maybe it'll be a little guest in the room at some point. But all in all, pretty good morning here. And, you know, you see this little pocket of consolidation over here? This is what we're talking about. After a market drops 100, 120, 130 ticks, you're going to get this consolidation, and this chop is what you want to stay out of if you've already banked some coin from these earlier trades. Let's see. Did I take any of these trades, Carlos? Yeah, absolutely, I did. I took this one, I took this one, and I took this one. I didn't take this little bip in the middle here, but I took those three. And so I'm done. I'm pretty much done for the day here. This is the sweet spot of trading. We talk about it. A lot of the good volatility happens between about 6 o'clock Pacific, 6:30 around the open, 6:40, even 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock a lot of times, 6:50. Actually, look at this. We're rolling over and breaking down here. Russell took out its lows. I don't know if you shorted that, Gary. I just watched Russell take out its lows of the day there. Actually breaking the lows of the day on EMD as in real time as we see it here. See how it rolled and broke?
Gold on the way down, and also we called that oil trade at 73, 74 area, and I mean it just nailed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Russell took out its lows with a vengeance. I'm not watching NASDAQ. I don't know what happened to NASI. But, yeah, so you can see here, this is just simply a little blip up. Guidance dot still short, still keeping us in the trade to the short side. Flips over, rolls. This has actually turned out to be just kind of a nice probey trade to the downside. And down she went. All right, well, we do have a pro webinar tonight. We'll get the links out in reminders. 5 o'clock Pacific should be a good one. Just looking up here real quick, Dow hitting the lows of the day, down 162.25. I had a feeling this could be a 200-point down day on the Dow, pretty easily. Could be teeing up for a flush the toilet day here this week. October tends to have these nice volatile swings. 200 up, 300 down. Could be a good week for us. All we want to do is clearly identify the trend and stay on the right side of the trade. Okay, Luke, looks like that answers your question. You know, Luke was asking about this whole setup, the 12 range and the 4 on Nasdaq. You know, Luke, on Nasdaq it would not look this clean because of the divergence with Apple. Apple heading higher, kind of trying to fight those shorties, and so you see that a lot on Nasdaq now. You know, of course, Apple has very strong sales right now. Everybody's just sort of pushing Apple to fresh highs. And so some of the other technology stocks, they're shorting. So you got a real bull-bear battle in NASDAQ right now. It's a little tougher to trade. You know, it's not following the other markets real clean like this. So, you know, for the short term, you might, you know, want to consider looking to other instruments like, you know, the Russell or EMD or even YM. I don't have a YM chart up here, but take a quick look at YM. Sometimes it's only $5 a tick, and you can get some good moves out of YM. Well, Luke, I've always liked EMD. He's asking if EMD's better. This is a good trader for me. I trade it pretty much every day. You know, if you can choose an instrument that you like. I mean, you see Gary trades oil and the Russell and occasionally gold. You know, we got Rich, we got Great Hopes in here. She trades oil and gold. You got to find kind of an instrument that you're really getting in tune with. That's really a good key. If you can find something you really just kind of get in sync with. And then what happens is you can almost kind of sense and feel the moves when they, I mean, in addition to obviously having the technical analysis and all the good guidance on the charts here, you kind of get a feel for how it's going to move. Yeah, here, let's see, I got a YM chart here. Yeah, YM had some decent moves. That's a good alternative to NASI. If you're struggling with NASDAQ now, I can drag a YM 4-range chart over real quick and take a peek at it. You can see it looks a lot like EMD. Had a couple yellow bar probes here. Got into a little bit of chop. Of course, you were trading the short side. I don't have the guidance on here, but I'm sure it looks just like EMD, 12R, short, short, short. Yellow bar probe. We got this little pocket of consolidation here, breaks down, yellow bar probe, and then, of course, you had a beautiful short right there. And now she's kind of consolidating. So this might be an alternative for you. I talked with a couple of traders last week that watch YM and trade it occasionally. Another one to keep an eye on. Okay, any other questions on the trade setups for EMD today or the equities? Any questions on our setups? Let me go ahead and turn the recorder off. Gary Rich,